Hi everyone and welcome back to Living Phase 2. Well, we just returned from our very first trip on Carnival Cruise Lines and we can't wait to tell you about it.
We want to let you know, is Carnival the Walmart of the seas or is it a Best Buy? Welcome to Living Phase 2. Well, we're just going to have a little chat or discussion here and discuss the differences between Royal and Carnival that we found.
Right, we're going to cover 10 areas that we are going to compare and contrast to Royal Caribbean versus Carnival. And in fact, we've got our little Carnival coconut martini. It's one of the favorite drinks we found on Carnival, and I was able to replicate the recipe. In fact, we'll do a quick little YouTube short showing you this recipe so that you can enjoy these yourself as well. Well, Nancy, let's talk a little bit about the design of the ship. So the Carnival Vista, being the engineer, I think I'll cover this part.
Okay, please do.
So the Carnival Vista was built in 2016. It's about 135,000 tons, gross tons. So the design of the ship is not the newest of Carnival. That's like the Mardi Gras series that's coming out now, but it's about the second newest on Carnival. So, this is not an old ship of Carnival's.
2016.
Right, so fairly new. And what we would say is from a comparison of this ship to Royal, you really have to go to the Voyager class to get something that's equivalent. Now, the Voyager class is the about four designs back on Royal Caribbean. The Voyager class was built between about 1999 and 2002. However, most of them have been refurbished, or many of them, it's called amped on Royal Caribbean. So they've been updated in the range of about 2015 or so. So really, if you think about the amplification of the Voyager class, it's right about the same time the Carnival Vista was coming out. And so you're looking at, and the Voyager class is about 140,000 gross tons. So very similar size of ship, very similar time frames, at least as the updates of the Royal ships go. And when you talk about a passenger count, the Royal ship, normal double occupancy is about 3,100 passengers. And on the Vista, the ship that's about 4,000 gross tons smaller, actually the normal double occupancy is about 3,900 passengers. So they put more passengers on the Vista than they do on the Royal ship. So thinking about the design, Nancy, what were your thoughts?
So I felt like the ship in and of itself, it was almost disorienting at first for the first couple of days. I mean, many cruise ships can be throw you off a little bit that first day, but this one really seemed to. I think it was because it was so chopped up. It just really weren't sure where you were at.
Right. Seemed like a lot of nooks and crannies, and you had to go up a deck and down a deck and do different things. And when you get to a Voyager class, or really a Voyager, Freedom, Odyssey, any of those classes of ships on Royal Caribbean, they introduced the Royal Promenade. And so to get to the front to the back of the ship, you go to, what is it, deck 5, or I can't remember, depends on the ship, and you literally walk down the middle of the ship from the front to the back, and all the shops and different restaurants, bars are all right there.
Very visible.
Yeah, very open. It feels airy. And I would agree with you. It took us 2 or 3 days. It's like, oh wait, what deck is that on? And wait, I've got to cut through here on this side. You're walking by staterooms a lot down the sides of the ship. And so I think, if we're going to compare Royal design standards, and by the way, the Voyager class was really groundbreaking with that Royal Promenade. Royal actually hired a designer that was not a cruise ship designer to design this, and then once that came out, people fell in love with it, and they continued it through the rest of their.
I can see why people did fall in love.
Yeah, exactly. So I think from our perspective, the design of the ship probably tends, on my opinion, goes to Royal. How about you?
It does.
Yeah,
for me as well.
Now, what about stateroom?
Right, I was going to say that leads to staterooms, which were a little bit smaller on the Carnival. We had a balcony stateroom, just your standard balcony, ocean view, and that's typically what we get on Royal Caribbean as well. And it was a little smaller on Carnival, although I felt like we had adequate storage. The room was as far as
Room's
rooms
functional.
go, the room, right? They're functional on both ships, and I think they're fine and they're nice on both ships. It was just a little smaller.
Yeah, a little smaller. I mean, would I not go on Carnival and go on Royal because of the stateroom? Probably not. One thing that is different on Carnival, at least on this design, you didn't have a sliding door like you do on Royal. You had actually a door that opened out onto your balcony. That takes away a little bit of room on the balcony because the door has to swing. But I didn't mind that design feature. It's just a little different. And there wasn't near the storage, I think. You know, the Royal had little drawers and nooks and crannies everywhere. And the closets on Carnival, I felt like had all this room, like hanging dresses and things of this nature. But it really didn't. It didn't have a lot of drawers and things. I felt like I had all my packing cubes and I had to leave stuff stacked up in packing cubes. So I think that, again, tip of the hat to Royal a little bit for room design. But functionality, everything else, I mean, the room was clean, it was functional, we didn't really have any problems. You do have a shower curtain on Carnival versus the, what do they call it, the coffin on Royal, you know?
Shower door.
Yeah,
yes.
the shower door. I you know, some people don't like that. They're like, oh, it touches me, and I honestly thought the shower curtain was fine. I didn't even notice really. So I think that was fine. Anything else with the room?
No, but really relatively equivalent.
Relatively equivalent. Maybe a little tip of the hat to Royal on that. What do we have next on our list?
Food is next.
Hey,
on our
food
list.
is always,
We're
you know, with us. So
first, let's talk about we have first are the my time dining.
well, let's talk about the main dining room,
All
right?
right,
That's
we'll
when the
start
my
with
time
that.
dining
All
is,
right.
right? So I think from a main dining room perspective, my opinion was I thought the food was maybe a little bit better on Royal. Not leaps and bounds ahead, maybe just slightly more upper scale, maybe I'd say a little more elegant. I mean, but the food on the main dining room Carnival was very good. I don't have any complaints.
No, I had no complaints either with the food, but it was average.
Yeah.
But it was good.
Yeah, and the atmosphere, that I think is where something that it actually took us a couple days to figure out, at least for me, what was different. You know, something was different in Carnival's main dining room. And maybe this goes back to the design features, right? The overall design of the Carnival Vista is very, I don't want to say Art Deco. It's very, very plain, right? Lots of bright colors, kind of plain, a little bit Caribbean design,
Yeah, it was kind of
Miami design, yeah, kind of Miami Art Deco, kind of very plain. And like we went to the main diner, finally it was second or third day, I went, that's what it is, there's no tablecloths. And it looked, you know, to be blunt, it looked like a Luby's cafeteria. You know, you go in and it's just, it felt so plain, you know, whereas on Royal you get these grand main dining rooms where you have, you know, 3 stories and you know, chandeliers and tablecloths, and it just feels more elegant.
A lot of artwork.
Yeah, artwork everywhere. Whereas on Carnival, we were tucked back in a corner on an aisle, and it felt very claustrophobic. Again, that idea of the main of the ship being cut up kind of continued in the main dining room. But food-wise, I think it was fairly equivalent. One place though, where Carnival blows Royal away,
Shines.
and you know, Mr. Bailey, pay attention to this, okay? Was the way they handled the My Time Dining. Royal's My Time Dining has become nicknamed Their Time Dining. You can't even get into the restaurants until 6:30, 6:45 on Royal.
Into the main dining
Into the main dining room. You know, yeah, you basically have to set your My Time. You have to get all your reservations on day one okay, it's supposed to be My Time. You don't know maybe when shows are, what you're going to want to do, but you still have to set your reservations. And then you go to during your time, and you still may wait in a line for 20, 30 minutes or whatever to get into it. Carnival, you go to their app.
on your phone.
On your phone, you say, I'm ready to eat, and they say, okay, your table will be ready, and...
It'll say they're ours would either say 5 to 10 minutes or 10 to 20 minutes. You could be anywhere on the ship. You could stop and get a drink. You could...
Finish getting ready,
right,
or, yeah,
whatever it is that you wanted to do. We never waited more than 10 minutes.
No.
And the app was it was buzzing and going off saying that your table is ready. Mm-hmm. We would go down to the and they'd ask you to be there within 10 minutes. We'd go down there and immediately we were seated,
right,
which was quite nice.
Oh, this is the way to do it, Royal.
Yeah.
Please update. You've got a great app overall. I think overall the Royal app is a little better than the Carnival app. Not in this area. I mean, being able to say, I'm ready to eat.
From anywhere in the ship.
Yeah, and you can go to the rum bar and sit there, and and you can say, okay, we're ready to eat. And you just hit it. You can be on the other side of the ship, and 10, 20 minutes later, they say, okay, your table's ready. And you go down and walk right in. That was head and shoulders above. Well, let's talk a little bit about the specialty dining now. What did you think of their specialty dining?
Well, we went to 3 of the specialty dinings. We did the chef's table, we did the steakhouse, and we did the Italian dining.
Nice.
And they were all really good. Delicious, wonderful.
Yeah, I really think their steakhouse was equivalent to Chops. I think maybe the Giovanni's Table concept on Royals is slightly better, but I really did enjoy.
I thought it was
pretty equivalent. Yeah, I won't argue with you a bit on there. It was very good. The chef's table. I have to give it to Carnival.
I do too.
I was shocked about that, but the chef's table experience on Carnival, you actually go into a room in the kitchen that's a special room. It's a glass wall.
They're 2 very different experiences. So the chef's table on Carnival had more courses, although you got smaller amounts of food, whereas on Royal you had, I think it was 5, maybe 6 courses, but you got larger amounts of food. The thing about one on Royal is every course was paired with a very specific wine. They had a sommelier come out and they would say, this is why I chose this wine to go with your steak, or this is why I chose this wine to go with fish. And whereas on Carnival it was, would you like red or white wine? But they had more courses on Carnival, like I said, smaller amounts, but the experience was one. It was an event. We walked through the kitchen. We got to see the cooks preparing food for all of the passengers. It was really interesting to see. And they took us to a beautiful room that was in the kitchen. It was enclosed. And it was really quite an event there. A magician came and performed for us. It was really good.
Yeah, walked around, did close-up magic for everyone at the table, kind of stopped at each person. And then they took us out of the chef's table room, and they did a cooking demonstration for us. They showed us how to make their famous Carnival lava cake. And, so it was like a break between courses. It wasn't just course. And they gave you time to converse with your fellow passengers and make friends. And I think the experience on Carnival, for me, was a superior experience. Now, if you're a wine person, no question, I think you'd enjoy the Royal experience a little bit more if kind of wine food pairing is what you're looking for. But really both experiences were great. I think I have to hand it to Carnival though on this one.
I do too, but both were excellent.
Yeah. When we talk about the rest of the specialty restaurants, let's talk a little bit. Let's go ahead and transition into the other included restaurants though.
Okay.
So I think this is another case where Carnival really beats Royal out on this. When you talk about what they include, especially on sea days, for different meals, I really think that overall Carnival has this beat. Carnival has the Guy Fieri burgers, the Guy Fieri Pig and Anchor Barbecue, which is open on sea days for lunch. Now these are lunch we're talking about here. They have the Blue Iguana Mexican restaurant, which is very much like a Chipotle or a Qdoba. They then also on sea days will open up their specialty restaurants for free, for included, like their Italian restaurant, their Mongolian barbecue, or their Chinese restaurant. They'll open those up for lunch, and you can go right up there and have a pasta bar at the Italian restaurant.
Which I was a little bit disappointed. We stopped on sea days at the Mongolian restaurant, the Asian restaurant, as well as the Italian restaurant, and I was a little disappointed in those. However, at lunchtime, only at lunchtime. However, the Guy's Barbecue, the Blue Iguana, fabulous. Oh,
Guy's Burgers. I hate to admit it, we ate more hamburgers on this trip than I've eaten in 2 years. It really was a very good burger. Fries were excellent. And so I think that, whereas if you're on Royal, you have, Sorrento's, and then you got the buffet, you've got the Solarium Bistro.
Carnival has a pizza place too.
Yes, they do. Yep. So
I thought Sorrento's is a little better.
I think the pizza at Sorrento's is a little better. A couple of years ago, Royal changed their recipe, and I think Sorrento's is slightly better. But Carnival, it was very good. And on Carnival, when you're talking about included food options, you can eat much later, much better on Carnival. So there are pizza places up
Later
until
at
4
night.
a.m. Yes. Their deli, which is kind of included in their buffet, but they keep that open till 11 o'clock at night, and you get Reubens and hot dogs and all kinds of specialty made sandwiches. All that stuff is open much later on Carnival, whereas once you're past main dining room time on Royal, it's kind of Sorrento's and that's
Sorrento's
it.
is about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really think that the included food options, the variety and the quality goes to Carnival on this
agree.
one. Yeah, it was really good. What do you have next on the food list? Because
Okay.
we're going to talk the buffet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think in this case, the buffet, Carnival has a buffet, kind of like they have to have a buffet, but it was
much smaller.
Yeah, much
smaller.
Yeah, not that impressive. I think the Windjammer concept on Royal Caribbean really, really is much better, especially if you're on one of Royal's newer ships. If you're on an Oasis class, if you're on an Amped Freedom class, on a Odyssey class, a Quantum class, the way they do their buffets and how they're laid out, it's a much better concept, much better variety, and to be honest, much better food.
And one more thing, let's bring up the hand washing.
I think that's very important.
But the hand washing at Carnival is not not as
pushed.
obvious, not as pushed, not as convenient whereas on Royal you go in and your hand washing station is right there.
Well, Miss Washy Washy's going to tell you don't walk into the buffet till you wash your hands. And the Royal has revamped their ships, and there's sinks and hand wash stations, and that is probably another change. I really hadn't thought about it actually till this moment. The way the buffet is on Carnival is there's about 10 ways to get into the buffet. You have to literally walk through the buffet to get to the front to the back of the ship.
Right, so you can walk into the buffet from
up,
from
down,
both
side to
ends of
side.
the ship. Yeah.
And whereas on Royal, when you go to the Windjammer, there's an entrance and an exit, and they catch you on the entrance, and they kind of make a joke and make it fun, but it's washy washy.
Washy washy. I wanna know where you wash your hands.
And Carnival had a couple hand wash stations that are kind of neat. They're automatic and everything, but believe me, people were not washing their hands.
You don't obviously see it.
No.
I mean, you could very easily walk past it because it's kind of around a corner, and if you don't want to go in that direction, you want to go down another aisle, because again, it's all kind of chopped up. It's not all together. You could miss the hand washing station very easily, and they did not have the hand sanitizers.
Not as much as Royal. Royal, it seems like you literally are tripping over them in the hallway. They're everywhere. They're in and out, and they've got them in the buffet area. And Carnival had the sanitizers, but not near to the extent Royal did. Yeah.
The last day continuing on with the buffet, moving away from the hand washing.
Yeah, no. I think that's an important point, though. Yeah.
The Carnival had on the last day at lunch, they had a whole chocolate dessert bar that was phenomenal.
That harkened
really,
back
really
to the
good.
old days of Royal. The midnight dessert buffet and stuff, and they're not doing those anymore. I'm not a chocolate fan, but I have to admit, the Swan ice cream and the 6 kinds of chocolate cake and the chocolate fountain. I mean, it was impressive. Yeah. It was really impressive. And Carnival still does offer tea time that Royal doesn't do anymore. So you can go to afternoon tea if you want at 4 o'clock. I think it's 4 o'clock if I remember right. 3 or 4.
We didn't do afternoon tea, but
honestly, there was so much included food. We weren't really that hungry at that. We were usually at the pool or something. So, but I think now let's talk just kind of overall in the food. Just kind of wrap it up. Specialty dining equivalent, included food, overall Carnival better, Royal better, and buffet, right? And so I think, again, nothing here that says don't go on Carnival because the food's gross or something.
No,
I think overall,
the food was good.
Yeah, overall, there's no reason that you wouldn't go on Carnival because the food, and in fact, for some of the included, if you're just going to eat included food, it's pretty good. I mean, it kind of leans toward Carnival. So, yeah, would you agree?
I would agree.
Well, before we go on, we hope that this whole conversation we're having about Carnival versus Royal is helpful. And if it is, we'd like you to reach down and hit that like button, hit like this video if it's helpful for you, and hit that subscribe button to follow all our Phase 2 Empty Nest adventures. We thank you very much for doing that.
We appreciate you, friends. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, what's our next topic, Nancy?
Service, Mike. How was the service on Carnival?
Great. I had
thought it
no
was too.
complaints. Yeah.
I thought it was
Our room steward was excellent, equivalent to any room steward we'd had on Royal Caribbean. They are doing a once a day service on Carnival, but Royal's going to that too, going away. And to be honest, I didn't really notice. I mean, we always had the turn down service and all that in the evening on Royal. He would come in usually around
Refresh
10, 11
the
o'clock
towels
and yeah, restock the towels and make the bed and then he would be, and he was usually around. If you needed something, you would find him in the hallway.
He would be there in the afternoons
Yeah.
or early evenings. Yeah.
But I think from a room steward perspective, it was fairly equivalent. I think from a bar service, I actually think that Carnival might be a little superior there. I think when you're sitting around by the pool or different areas, I think there was more people coming around more often asking if you wanted drinks.
There was definitely more bar service at the pool, various pool decks.
Yeah.
So another nice thing too is when you were at the pool deck, you could order food from your phone app, and they would bring it right to your lounge chair if you wanted.
Now there was a fee for that.
There was.
Yeah, like a room service fee. But again, this gets into that little bit of superiority in some of the areas of the Carnival app that you could look at there. But so I think from a service perspective, very equivalent, maybe a little bit better on the bar service. But other than that, Carnival really did a great job on service. And honestly, everybody was, can I help you? And what can I do? And, they're very well trained staff.
No complaints whatsoever there.
Right.
Let's move on to another big one, Mike, which is entertainment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's talk about entertainment. This is something that we really enjoy. We love going to the shows in the evening or the different activities or seeing the different entertainers around the ship. I think this is one case where Carnival really kind of fell down a little bit.
Well, on the main theater
in the main lounge shows, yes.
It's hard to beat Royal. Royals are so theatrical and just professional and well put together and high tech, and Carnival just doesn't have that availability at this time.
Yeah, and it kind of makes us feel bad because we know the entertainers on Carnival are busting their butts, right?
Sure.
They're good singers. They're working hard, but the material they have to work with and the types of shows they're doing. I mean, how do you compare with something like The Book and Royal Caribbean Effectors, full Broadway shows, Grease, Mamma Mia? I mean, let's not talk about Cats, but but that's kind of a controversial subject. But you're talking about full Broadway shows, huge productions versus something much more simple, let's put, and even the design of the theater. The Liquid Lounge, which is their main theater on the Carnival Vista, it's a flat floor. They've got just regular seats in there.
Rather than sloped, where you could see over the person's head in front of you.
Right. I mean, we're pretty tall, right? I'm 6 foot, you're 5'10" and a half, almost 5, and we even had trouble seeing over some of the seats in back, the design of the theater just really can't compare to some of the theaters on Royal.
But then they have other entertainment, such as the comedy bars, the piano bars.
Right. And those were great.
They were a lot of fun.
Right. If you like comedy shows, there's 2 to 3 comedy shows a night on Carnival, and they are every night, and they even switch comedians. They have 2 comedians and they'll switch them halfway through the cruise. Comedy is big on Carnival.
And that was a lot of fun. I was afraid it was going to be extremely foul-mouthed. I was bracing myself for that because I don't care to hear the F word every third word.
Yeah.
But I felt like at least these comedians that were on our ship did a great job. There was a few curse words, and I don't mind a few, but it wasn't over the top.
Right. It wasn't, we had heard from some fellow cruisers previously that cruised Carnival that they were like, oh, you're never going to believe the shows on Carnival. They're raunchy. And it's like, we saw 4 different comedians. In fact, one of them was a clean comedian. And he makes a point that he goes complete clean, and he was hilarious.
Yeah.
He was really good.
I had a great time
and,
with the comedy shows.
Oh, yeah, we did too. So if you like comedy, now Royal, these same comedians are going to show up on Royal.
They go from ship to ship.
But they don't emphasize it quite as much. I mean, they'll do maybe comedy shows not every night. They might do them 2 or 3 nights on the ship. And but yeah, Carnival, man, every night there's multiple comedy shows. I think from a piano bar perspective, you got the Schooner Bar that with piano music almost every night, sing along kind of piano music. You had the piano bar on the Vista, very equivalent. I have to say that the particular pianist on Carnival, he was amazing.
He was really good. And
Yeah.
I got the impression, though, he's only there temporary. I mean,
Yeah.
he's kind of. I
think he's having a
only on
baby,
for-
so
well,
yeah.
But I got the impression he'd come on for about
Yeah.
4 weeks, and then he'd have a break, and then
Yeah.
on for 4 weeks and have a
Yeah,
break.
but he was excellent. So, but so are some of the piano players in the Schooner Bar. So kind of
Right.
equivalent there. I think that when you talk about just in general, though, if you like entertainment, if you want to be entertained, I really think I lean to Royal a little bit on that, especially from a big show perspective and whatnot.
Yeah.
Not that there's not lots to do on Carnival, plenty to do. But certainly from the big production show, it's really, we have to tip the hat to Royal.
Absolutely.
So, what's the next topic?
The next is one of our favorite areas, which is the all-adult area. That's where we like to spend a lot of our time when we're on the cruise ship, just relaxing and
Relaxing.
Relaxing.
Sleeping,
Yes,
reading,
yes.
Whatever. Yeah.
so Royal has the solarium pool, which on many of their ships is enclosed, or at least it's covered, it's protected. There, there's
and
a
in,
pool,
sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. There's a pool in the solarium, and I think on most every Royal ship. Hot tubs, lots and lots of lounge chairs, a bar. The one on
The Serenity deck.
the Serenity deck on Carnival was much smaller. It was at the front of the ship. There was no cover for it. So in fact, they
Fully
had
exposed.
fully exposed. They had to close it down just due to high winds. And we had some rainy weather while we were on the ship, so there were other times that they closed it down, which that was a little bit disappointing. But really, one of the things I do appreciate about Carnival is it's a 21 and older.
Yes.
Whereas on Royal it's 16 and older. We really haven't had any problems on Royal. If maybe very short-lived, you know, that some kids
you get a couple 17, 18, 16, 17. They're like, oh, we get to go to the solarium, but usually they get in there and they see all us old fogies and they're just sleeping and they're like, well, this is no fun, and they go back to the main pool.
Sometimes on Royal, if the weather's bad, they will open up the solarium, the all-adult area, until
during the day
till about 2 or 4 in the afternoon. And then they'll turn it back into an all-adult area. Yeah, so the kids have a place to swim to, and I get that.
Oh yeah, that's no problem. Yeah. I think though, from our favorite place on the ship, which is going to an all-adult area, relaxing, laying out, I think the solarium concept on the Royal ships is superior to the exposed Serenity deck concept on Carnival. Yeah,
the Serenity had a bar, just like Royal has a bar in the all-adult area. They had a salad station, which was good.
It was very good, but you've got the Solarium Bistro, which has a salad bar, and it's kind of equivalent. But I think that's one of the cases where we kind of did miss, especially considering we were cruising in January out of Galveston, Texas, and to be honest, it was cold. It was sleeting, and when we left Galveston, and very cold, which is unusual for cruise ships, and we really missed that enclosed solarium.
Yes,
once we got to Cozumel and down, it was a little better, but that whole going across the Caribbean, as soon as you got halfway back to Galveston, it was cold again, and we tried on that last day, and we regretted it. We froze our butts off up there getting in the hot tub on all the Delta area. So I think that the tip of the hat for us in this case probably tips to Royal a little bit for the all adult area. Let's talk kids in general. I felt like there were about the same number of kids on Carnival that there were on Royal. I mean, I think both of them target families. That's my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we saw about the same equivalent. Again, we're in January, school's in this case, but I think about the same. A lot of families go on Carnival and a lot of families go on Royal.
I would agree.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to find much of a difference there.
Okay, let's talk about the social activity. Just the social vibe.
Kind of the passenger,
ships.
kind of the passengers and the social aspect and all that. I think overall, right?
Yeah.
So I was stunned.
You were stunned.
We did a lot of research. We always try to do a lot of research before we go on these cruises. And we join the Facebook groups, etc. You always find a Facebook group for like Carnival Vista X Sailing. And we join that. So as we said, the Vista holds 4,000 some passengers. The Facebook group for this sailing we were on the Vista had 1,000 people in it. I've never seen that on Royal. I mean, we always join those groups, and the people on Carnival seem to be much more social, wanting to get together, make friends, do things together than the passengers on Royal. Now, that's not a plus or minus. I mean, this depends on what you want to go, what you want to
Right.
make your cruise experience. But if you want to make friends and be social and to be honest, party a little bit, not frat party, but just get out with people and have a good time. Um, I was stunned at the way this occurred on the Vista that I've never seen that organically occur on a royal ship.
Right. I would agree with you. Yeah. So pro tip, friends, go on Facebook, put in your cruise ship, Carnival Vista, and the date that it's leaving to see if there's some Facebook groups, because that's a way you can join and find
Yeah.
out a lot about what's going on. We joined some of the activities. They had an initial meet and greet, which
In
was
the
a
brew
lot
pub.
of fun.
Yeah.
Then they had other things such as meet at a certain time, and we'll walk around the deck on the ship. A lot of the ladies got together to do that each morning. That it was a sea day.
Yeah.
We did a postcard exchange, and
Which we participated in. You go
Yeah.
around and leave postcards of where you're from or different things, and people's they had a white elephant gift exchange where you go and give gifts to people in different. I mean, just it was one thing after another after another. Yeah, we played left, right, center, and that group got together several times. We there were 25 people got together and played this massive game of left, right, center. And
it was fun.
it was a lot of fun. Yeah,
we
and you
met
didn't
some-
have to do this stuff.
No. And
Yeah.
we met some really nice people. And then it was nice because you would see them in other locations on the ship, the dining room, at the entertainment,
Yeah.
just as you're walking and passing. It's kind of nice to have some familiar faces. So I
Right.
thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's hit a little bit of a hard subject here. I mean, some people will say, and I'm going to hit this very bluntly, oh, Carnival cruisers might be lower class or whatever. No, I mean,
No.
I will be very honest. It's the people you see on Carnival are the same people you'll see on Royal. I think you thought maybe the crowd on Royal was slightly older. I think
Slightly.
maybe
Mhm.
slightly. But you get families with kids. I mean, obviously Royal, look at their commercials. They hammer away. They want families on board. And you've got the traditional Royal cruisers like us that have been cruising them for 30 years. But, I might say the people on Carnival might be a little more lively. I mean, they're there to have fun.
They are. And so, yeah, while we're talking about passengers, I mean, I had a stigma in my mind. I thought, oh my goodness, there are going to be these partiers. You hear about fights starting out.
Everyone's going to be drunk and
smoking weed and
Yeah.
different things you hear. And I was kind of bracing myself for that, but we didn't experience any of that.
Now, be aware we were on a 7-day
7-day.
cruise. We were
Yeah.
not on a 3-day booze cruise.
Yeah, I
So
think that makes a difference.
I think it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
But honestly, after all our cruises on Royal Caribbean, I would say that the individuals we met on Carnival were amazing people. And okay, I'm going to go back to that. That example, right, is Carnival the Walmart of the seas. Well, okay, if Carnival's the Walmart of the seas, maybe Royal Caribbean's the Target of the seas, right? I mean, we shop at Walmart, we shop at Target. It's very similar people. You're gonna,
Walmart and Target sell the same thing.
Yeah.
A lot of the same things.
Right, you might have slightly different brands, but you're going to see very similar things at Walmart and Target, and it's so don't think that that you are not going to go on a Carnival cruise because, oh my gosh, it's just a bunch of frat boy party. Yes, I would say the crowd is a little more lively, a little bit more looking to have fun, right? Finding ways to have fun rather than just maybe relax and enjoy the entertainment and good food. I think there's a little more social aspect to Carnival.
There is, but certainly if we were to take our grandchildren on a Carnival cruise, at least on this one, with being 7 days, I wouldn't hesitate.
No.
I mean, I probably wouldn't take them on a 3-day cruise. I think there's way more partying there, but
Yeah. Now that said, again, if you're talking about bringing young kids and grandkids, I would probably still tend to a Royal ship because there's so much to do. I mean, you look at the kids areas and the activities and the splash pads and all the things that Royal targets to kids, and they keep going more and more and more toward kids. I probably would lean toward a Royal ship.
I would too.
But from a social aspect or a people aspect, I wouldn't hesitate bringing on a Carnival ship. I agree with you.
Either.
Yeah. What's next?
All right, next is cost.
Yeah. So I think you hear a lot. Oh, I go on Carnival because it's so much less expensive than Royal. To be honest, we didn't really.
But we even heard that from passengers.
Yeah,
on this
yeah, we're
cruise.
sitting around talking to people, and we really asked a lot of people, what do you think of Royal Caribbean? In fact, we're going to have a video coming out, 2 more videos about our experience here. 5 things Carnival cruisers think about Royal Caribbean cruisers,
Yeah.
and 5 things Royal Caribbean cruisers think about Carnival cruisers. So watch for those 2 videos. But we heard a lot from Carnival saying, "Well, I don't cruise on Royal because it's so much more expensive." And they kept saying, "Well, just wait. Now that you've cruised on Carnival, you're going to get all these offers in the mail." And we've gotten some, $1,000 off a cruise, whatever. But Royal runs sales too. Maybe it's a little less expensive.
I think it's less expensive.
Yeah.
The drink package is
Yes.
more expensive on
Yeah.
Royal.
Yes,
than it is on
absolutely.
Carnival.
Yeah, Carnival, it's $50-some. I think the price is going up a little bit. It's more limited. You don't get as much, not just the 15 drinks, but on Royal you get milkshakes and fresh squeezed orange juice and all kinds of things with it. But yeah, the drink package is a variable pricing on Royal, and it is more expensive.
And the drink
Yeah.
package does not start on the first day you board on Carnival,
no.
whereas
But you don't pay for it either.
You don't.
Yeah.
That's true. But you
Yeah.
know, when you get on board,
That's when you want
that
it.
initial pina colada.
That's right. So that's in Texas. We're talking about. Texas has certain rules. Somehow Royal allows the drink package to work on the first day. Carnival does not.
Okay,
So,
that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so it's just Texas.
yeah,
then.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
All
of
right.
the rules in Galveston. Yeah.
Got it.
But yeah, so again, little bit less expensive on Carnival, but we have not experienced in doing our research that it's like half price or something. Maybe a little bit less, but for when you're just cruising with 2 people, probably not significant enough that it's like, oh, I'm only going to cruise Carnival because it's so much less expensive.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah. And
Okay. Well, let's wrap it up.
that's
Mike.
right. Well, thanks for going on this journey while we've had our drink and sat and chatted with you a while about our experience. We hope this has been helpful. I think the overall experience, would you go on Carnival again?
I absolutely would. However, I don't think I would go on the Vista again. I think for me, that's kind of a been there, done that. I would choose one of their newer ships to go on again. And the main reason is just because of the all-adult area that was so open and so exposed. It wasn't really an area where I could just lounge and relax and read and be outside, and watch the ocean. They just didn't have that. And I love that on Royal.
I mean, we spend most of our days, sea days, and even days after shore excursions, we just beeline it to the solarium. And so for us, that area of a ship, now, again, we're talking about, an Oasis class type, experience. When you're on like an Freedom class or like the equivalent we talked about, Voyager class, the solarium is a little more exposed on, but it's open, but it's in the middle of the ship, so it's kind of protected.
Right. So you don't get all the wind.
But I would agree with you. I think for us, I certainly would give Carnival a try again. I enjoyed it. I probably wouldn't do a 3-day, but I would maybe do a 7-day on them again, and try like their next generation ships. I think the Jubilee is brand new. It's not out yet, but I believe that's coming to Galveston, and that our daughter lives in Texas. That gives us an excuse to go down there. So we probably will end up giving it a shot, and seeing what the Mardi Gras class, that new class of ship for Carnival, is like. But I think overall, are we going to stop cruising on Royal Caribbean and suddenly switch to Carnival? No. I mean, we love Royal Caribbean. It's like putting on an old shoe. It's for all the problems and warts that Royal Caribbean may have, we always have a great time on them. Even though there's a lot of change, especially post-COVID, we enjoy Royal Caribbean a lot. But to be blunt, we were quite shocked. We were very pleased with Carnival. We would recommend, if you have not cruised either one, we could not steer you away from Carnival. If you get a great deal, give it a shot.
Yeah,
I think you're going to have a great time and have a Guy's Fieri burger.
I was pleasantly surprised on the Carnival ship.
That's right. So we hope this has been helpful. Again, if it has, hit that like button, hit the subscribe. We would appreciate that very much. And not only that, give us some feedback. We would love it if you would write down in the comments what your experience is on Royal versus Carnival. Have you gone on both? Are you loyal to Royal? Are you a Carnival cruiser only? We want to see this feedback and see if what we've said aligns with what you said. Keep it Keep it nice. We know there's a lot of, Carnival versus Royal out there. But we love to see just the good comments about why you cruise Carnival. Why do you cruise Royal, and have you cruised both? Please leave us a comment, and let's get this conversation rolling, because that would help us learn more and help everyone out there learn more as well.
Well, thanks for joining us on this discussion, friends. We appreciate you being here.
We do. And cheers. And we will see you next time on Living Phase 2. Thank you
Make
very
it a
much.
great day. Bye-bye.